In all of the questions I've been asked, which has not been many, but it's been a few. A lot of the questions are about what it's like working full-time as a freelancer, as a social media manager, how to make money online as a freelancer, whether you're like an artist, a creative, or a social media person like me, what that looks like, balancing your time, balancing your life, balancing your money. So I wanted to answer some questions that I collected on my Instagram like in August. It's January of the next year, but you know, we're all about getting to it when the time is right. So apparently the time is right. So this is gonna be your year. This timing was meant for you to make this your year. If you've been looking for a sign to like start your transition into full-time freelancing, or pick up freelancing for the first time, or really start to like sell your work or sell your art in like a freelance type of situation, I want to help you. Hopefully this video can be helpful. So I just want to start off by saying I feel like I'm not someone who is your typical like work for themselves, freelance. I feel like that kind of lifestyle brings this meaning on like you're constantly hustling or looking for work or like jumping from one thing to another, which can be the case, and I love constantly like doing different kinds of work and like working with different kinds of clients. So I just want to make a small disclaimer that this is even extra for the kinds of people that find themselves to be more on the type B side. I think you can have a bit of stability as a freelancer, especially with how things are right now. You might as well work for your freaking self. So let's talk. The stuff I want to talk about in this video, what making your full-time income looks like when you're working as a freelancer, knowing when you are ready to fully go full-time and work for yourself. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about time off, your boundaries with your clients, and like setting up your business just like a little bit. I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. I say that because I was in college, so it's like I kind of count those years because I was paying my rent in college and paying for everything I needed through freelancing. But life doesn't get really real until you graduate and you're paying for everything. You need a full-time job. And so I was also able to transition out of that college lifestyle working as a freelancer into now full-time. I've been doing it for 2 years out of college and things are still going smoothly. So I can kind of give you advice in those two different segments of your life. We're going to talk about personally how I make money online. I think it's really important for you to have different kind of income streams when you're working as a freelancer, just because sometimes your client will text you and one day like one will be gone, or like 1 month one will be gone, and it can be like a significant amount of money. So you always want to have different income streams coming in. Sometimes they'll all be coming in at once and that's amazing, but sometimes you'll need to lean on one or the other when one is kind of, you know, slowing down a bit. I kind of separate my income streams between my kind of retainer based social media management, which I offer. I would say this is how I make like 95% of my income. These are my regular clients. I mean, I have 3 full-time clients right now. I've had up to 6 full-time clients, which was this time last year, and that was the most overbooked no, they weren't all full-time. Some of them were like content projects, but I did have 6 clients back this time last year and it was just way too much for me. Yeah, retainers give you a much steadier income than an hourly wage. I've definitely done hourly work majority of my time working. I'm just now kind of getting to the point where people are ready to work with me under a retainer, so I definitely wouldn't turn down that work. Like, it's important to take on anything you can, especially if you're starting out. So I wouldn't say no to hourly work, but make sure like you have a schedule where it's steady enough to be like a foundation if you want to rely on your clients as your main source of income. I hope that made sense. And then my second kind of stream is through like my video editing work, my social media coaching, kind of creation, helping creators out in that way, editing YouTube videos. So those are those kinds of services that are in my second kind of income stream, and you can see how like YouTube or like video editing might not be as, they're more project-based income. So it's like something nice to add on. It's not something that is fun to rely on unless you are obviously an editor full-time. That's different. And then lastly, I have one digital resource up right now. I've had a Notion template up in the past. I'll make a resource every now and then when I really feel like something is calling to me to organize information. There are people that totally rely on digital resources to pay their income. Totally up to you what you want to create and what your business looks like. Those are like paying for my coffee, essentially, every month, like nothing crazy. So that's kind of what I mean, like you can supplement your income throughout these little streams that all add up. To summarize, I like to, as like a type B girly, someone who's not going to be constantly hustling and looking for work. I need my days off, I need to rest. I like predictable income. I like retainer clients that are long-term. I like building relationships with them. I love seeing my work progress over 1 or 2 years. I think that's when you can really hone in and know a social media strategy the best. So I'm really grateful for those clients. And obviously I feel like taxes are always going to be a question. I am not a tax person. I'm not a tax expert, but my personal advice would just be to save more for taxes than you think you will need. You will need to pay them. Do not think you will not need to pay them. I'm pretty sure in most places, once you make like $500 or $600 in a year, you need to start paying taxes. As a rule of thumb, I always put 30% of whatever it is I make aside. Yeah, and if you have some left over at the year, that's awesome. If you need extra, you'll have extra. I guess the main theme that comes from this is your income will be changing a lot as a freelancer. A way to look at it more is like a base income that you can safely make every month, and then do not factor in those extra chunks of money you might make on a good month, because not every month might look like that, or maybe it will, I don't know, but your income will change from year to year or month to month. So it's important to have savings and be prepared for anything that might come up. So when do you know that you are ready to go full-time as a freelancer? This is such an important question, and I will say one that I feel like I got away with a little easier because, like I said, I kind of transitioned into full-time work out of college, so I felt like that was a really nice guiding ramp for me, but I know that's not the case for everyone. Some people might be working full-time and ready to go freelance and quit their full-time jobs, and I think you can kind of follow these steps the same way. There's really not that big of a difference. When I knew it was ready to go full-time, my work was steady, not just my work with my current clients, but I could feel and sense that I had a healthy amount of work coming in. I was doing gig work through Fiverr most of the time through college, so I had worked with around 200 people by that time that I went full-time, and that sounds like a lot, and it is, but if you're thinking if you're doing 10 different projects a week for a couple years, that adds up, and those are all different people that you've touched and that have worked with you. So it's a lot of really great experience that you can get yourself. So when your network feels really good, feels healthy, you have work that you can jump to or people that you can know will refer you, that is a good sign. Your clients are either ready to take you full-time or ready to support you in whatever way you need. So for me, this looked like transitioning out of like that college intern kind of hourly work. Transferring out of that, I let my clients know where I was. I was always honest about my age, that I was in college, that I was balancing schoolwork, and 2 of them were ready to support me in a full-time retainer when I was ready to graduate. So I mean, that doesn't pay all of the bills obviously, but is a really good foundation to have when you are transitioning into going full-time, are those clients that are ready to stick behind you and you know they're good for the foreseeable future. I would also say, you know, you're ready to go full-time when you really feel like you have a process down. You really could start to view your work as its own separate business. I remember by the end of school, like it makes me sad to think like how bad I wanted to get into college, but like I wasn't, my senior year, I really wasn't as focused, and I think this happens naturally. I wasn't as focused on being active on campus or in school because my life was so overtaken by my business, which was just an overwhelming and incredible feeling at the time. So that's another sign that you know that it might be time to make that your full-time work. Something I want to emphasize, that going full-time for me, I mean, I know some people take that leap, but for me it was more like a transition into what felt more right for me. So what I invested when I started out, I think this is huge. Something else I really didn't think of, or I never viewed my business as, oh, I'm going full-time on this date, I'm going to invest however much money into getting this done and this done and this done and this done. It was really like a slow progression. Like I didn't have any kind of funding besides myself, so I think it's totally fine to take it slow, to teach yourself things as you go. You don't need to have like a website with 20 pages and a newsletter and a blog and a YouTube channel and all that stuff at once. You can have one main channel, you talk to your community, and then just slowly build out from there. And that goes the same for clients. Like you can just start with your email, and then maybe you'll do a Slack, maybe you'll do a Asana. Like just give yourself time. You don't have to have it all figured out at one point. So that goes for me to say that I really did not spend that much money starting out, like at all. I taught myself how to video edit it for free when I was a teenager by using trials and YouTube tutorials and whatever I could get my hands on. And so I kind of feel like I just always took that attitude into my work. So obviously I was taking classes at the time in business and entrepreneurship, in marketing, and so I had some pretty insane teachers. I went to FIT. A lot of my professors like encouraged us, if we were going to be working on our own, to be as scrappy as you possibly can be and spend as little money as possible. And I feel like, especially if you're freelancing online, that is so easy to do. I mean, it's free to post your work, it's free to apply for work, it's free to find clients online. You don't need to pay for like anything crazy up front. And I think it's even free to join like Fiverr or Upwork. It might be a small fee, but it's pretty much very inexpensive to get started. And then so I eventually grew out of this like totally DIY. I mean, I set up my website, I set up my branding, I did everything by myself just because that's who I am. But you don't have to do that. You can find help that's affordable and other creative people. You can barter your services and work with your friends online to, you know, get your branding together, get your feed together, ask them your opinions, swap your work. There's so many options and you don't have to feel as restricted as it might feel. But yeah, I eventually grew out of this like total scrappiness because it benefited me and it benefited my clients to pay for things like subscriptions, like licensing to software, licensing to assets I use in my videos, music licensing, stock footage, like paying for stock footage that you can only get through a paid license, stuff like that. That benefits me when I'm creating my work, and then I can offer it to my clients. I mean, you have to make sure you get the right license, but I can offer that to my clients so they can worry about even less when we're starting a project together. So if we're starting a video editing project or YouTube, they don't have to worry about looking for music and worrying if they're gonna get a strike on their page. They know I pay for the music, I'm gonna make sure it's okay, like it's all in there, and that benefits both of us. A tip I have for this actually is if you're working with like a corporate client or someone like a bigger company, a lot of the times if you have your eye on like a cool subscription that you really want to try out for them, you can ask them like, I think our content or our da-da-da would really benefit if we use the subscription, like, and they might pay for it. But I've had a lot of clients just totally offer to pay for subscriptions for things that will make our work easier. Of course, all of these subscriptions do add up. You still do end up paying for them. So it's important that if you are doing retainer or hourly pricing, that you always bake those prices in these subscription prices into your prices. And then another question I got that I thought was super important to talk about was taking time off, being sick, and you know, taking time off for the holidays while working freelance. So I wanted to talk about how I kind of managed that in the past couple of years. I would say this is my biggest struggle out of anything, is knowing when to take off and when I can fully unplug, because it's one thing to be off, but you know, you're logged into these accounts, you want to make sure everything's okay, you want to double check. Sometimes I'll log off for the day and I'll be like, did I tag that person in the post that just went out? And I'll have to go back on my phone and check. And it's like stuff like that that can come up on your days off. So it's really important to find time where you can totally unplug, not talk to your clients, not look at their socials, nothing. It's important to have at least one day a week where you can do that. But it's something I even still struggle with and am working on. Like, I just took my first 2 weeks off for Christmas this year, which isn't that crazy since this is only my second year out of school. But last Christmas I worked all the way through Christmas with all my client deadlines, so that was a big accomplishment for me this year. And for taking time off and sick days, I would just say plan ahead as much as possible. I know that's hard to do, but like a lot of the times you're not going to be posting every single day, or you'll have a project that has a deadline or multiple deadlines. Try your best to like let your client know up front if you need something moved or if you need time off and what dates will be affected. You can always deliver work early, like see if it's okay for them to schedule it while you're out, or just get the deadline moved. So I would just say you have to plan ahead, know exactly what you want off and when, and let your client know and make sure they understand, which is like such a difficult added layer that you have to make sure that they understand. But you really do have to make sure that they understand that you are going to be unplugged, because there's nothing worse than trying to take a day off and then getting an angry text message because you're not answering Slack. And then another tip I would say is I like to limit meetings. This helps me taking time off anyways. I can easily block out time in my calendar and rearrange my working hours when it works best for me in the day. Like today I was planning on running errands, so after this video, so I will just move whatever work I was going to do in that hour to a different hour today and make sure that it gets done. The best thing about this work is that you're in charge of your schedule at the end of the day, so you just have to be communicative about what that schedule looks like and what time you need off. Emergencies happen no matter what, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you to plan ahead for emergencies because sometimes that's not possible. My advice for this is that this really goes back to choosing good clients in the first place, having healthy relationships with them, because if an emergency comes up, they're not going to think twice about you needing to take time off or be late on a post or something. And if you have that relationship with them, you'll also care about the quality of your work, so it'll work out in the best way possible, if that makes sense. So choosing your clients from the start is very important. No matter what you think you're gonna get by, like things will come up, they will always show you exactly who they are. Just a quick little summary, like who I think freelancing would be best for. I really think anybody can try it. Like there's no reason it's for like a certain kind of person, because like I said, I know like it kind of gets like the type A hustle culture vibe to it, like the freelancing thing, but it doesn't have to be. I'm really type B and I've had my clients for a long time. I take on new people all the time. I let go of people all the time. Like you just kind of have to find your own rhythm with it and trust yourself. And yeah, it can be just like any other regular job. I think that's also important to remember. I love that I get to choose my schedule, but you still need to be up at a certain time to get enough of your working hours in. You need to deliver on time. You need to hold yourself accountable. Like it does come with its own challenges. But if you want to sleep in and get on a meeting at 1 p.m. and then film a YouTube video after, that might be the life for you. But if you need the structure, I don't know. My number one problem when first starting out, I will say, I'll add that in, my number one problem was learning learning that some clients are just not good people, and that's okay. And some people just aren't. And some people want to scam you and take your money, and that's okay. You just have to know when that's happening. You need to stand your ground and you need to be prepared for it. I've definitely lost a lot of money. I did deliver the work, so I guess it is lost, but I mean, you'll have a day, and I don't wish this on anyone, but I feel like there is a day like in every freelancer's life where you have a client, they get on a meeting, they agree to your terms, they sign your contract, you do the work, and then you send the invoice and they go, I had to pay for this? Yes. Yes, you had to pay for it. So, I mean, that was a really hard lesson for me, was just learning that some people suck. So you really do just have to be as clear as you possibly can be and protect yourself, and don't let it feel like a reflection of you, because it's not. That's really all I got. I think that's all the questions that I wrote down. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions around making money online. I love talking about it. I'm still figuring it out. I mean, I'm not a millionaire by any means. I'm just paying my bills. So I would love to answer more normal person freelancing questions. If you have any, you can leave them in the comments. There might be one or two, I mean, or there might be none, but that's okay. I will answer whatever is down there or not down there. That being said, expect a vlog next. Thank you so much if you made it this far, and if you're freelancing, I wish you so much luck. It is like the best choice I've ever made. So yes, good luck. Bye.